Well, this is YouTube, so we might as well talk about some gear. This is the Nikon Z8, and I've talked about this camera before. I've been using this now for about 10 months, and I want to share my thoughts on just the Z system overall. In my DSLR days, I was always using Nikon cameras. The last one that I was using regularly was the D750. And after that camera, I went to mirrorless, and I've used all sorts of different brands: Sony, Canon, Leica, Fuji. Is that it? I mean, now Nikon. This is what I'm currently using, so I've used a lot of different camera systems. And before we get started, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I could not care less what any other photographer or filmmaker, cinematographer, videographer, whatever you want to call yourself. I don't care what anyone else uses. I don't care what brand. I don't care what model. I don't care how big the sensor is or how small the sensor is. It does not matter. The only thing I do here on this channel is share what I'm using, what my thoughts are, and hopefully maybe you can use that information to make a more informed decision if you've never tried something before, or if you just are curious and you like this kind of thing and you like hearing people talk about cameras. Now, I'm not saying that gear doesn't matter whatsoever and that you should just go into a store and say, hey, I need a camera, just sell me a camera. Obviously, depending on your specific needs, there might be a camera that's better fit for you. But this is not about the camera making the photographer or discrediting any other cameras, saying that they don't compare or they're not good enough. It's all coming down to each individual person and what their needs are. First, let me explain what brought me to the Z system in the first place. Again, as I mentioned, having used a lot of different camera brands over the years, I've always been curious about the Z system given that I loved the DSLRs. So I got the Z8 for a number of reasons. I made a video a while back when I first got it, so I won't reiterate everything I said there. Long story short, DSLR style body, I love that. Great autofocus, great EVF, blackout free EVF, which is amazing. Photography first kind of LCD, you know, it's not the flip out screen like the Z6 III has, which I'm currently using to record this video, along with the 24-70 f4. That's what's on it right now. But that's not mine. This is just a loaner from Nikon USA. They let me try this out for a couple of months this summer just to kind of put it through its paces, see how it would work for my workflow. But I'm going to be sending this back here in just a couple of weeks. So big thanks to Nikon USA for letting me try this camera out. It's been a lot of fun and it's been great for the live streams. But the Z8 is my main workhorse camera. So it's a camera that's genuinely surprised me because I got this specifically for work. I really didn't think this would get much use outside of needing to record videos or shoot something where I'm being paid to photograph something. In that regard, it has highly exceeded all expectations. Autofocus is incredible. I've mentioned before, I do a lot of photography with students with disabilities, and a lot of those disabilities, it requires a lot of involuntary movements and things where people aren't just sitting still all the time. I need to be able to make a good portrait of somebody, and I've got to have autofocus that can keep up. In my previous system that I was using, the Lumix system, which I really enjoyed the S5 II, especially for video, but the photo autofocus was what I was having trouble with. That's what led me to this camera in the first place. For all work scenarios, it's exceeded all of my expectations, but for my personal use, that's what's really surprised me, is that I've found myself wanting to use the Z8. And when I look at it, I think DSLR, I think work. It's not one of those, the M6. My favorite camera of all time, the camera I've used more than any other. It looks beautiful, it feels so nice, everything about it, it's all refined and yada yada yada. As much as I love that, as much as I can appreciate that, I also can appreciate when a camera doesn't pull at any of those like heartstrings. It doesn't make me think about anything of how it's aesthetically pleasing or whatever. It makes me think more about the end result and not the feeling while I'm making the photo. And this is one of those things that maybe I'm like torn side by side, because again, I love the M6. There is so much that I can say about this camera that I love. Even just holding it right now, it feels right. But I think from a practicality standpoint, I've come to a point in my life where I can appreciate just this thing being a hammer that works. And is it the most exciting camera? No. Is it the best feeling camera? I mean, I love the grip. I love the way this thing feels, but it just kind of looks and feels like a camera. And I really think most of my gripes with the camera are on the video side of things. I don't think there's really anything I would change or that I wish it had in the photo sense. And if anything, if I could change anything about the Nikon Z system overall, simplify the menus a little bit, maybe make some of the like naming conventions for certain things just easier to understand, or just, I'm pretty used to it now. Some of that came back like muscle memory from having used their DSLRs years ago. Yeah, it hasn't changed that much even from back then. Simplifying the menu system, outside of that, I really don't think there's anything that I would change about the photography in this. The dynamic range is amazing, especially in the highlights. I've been really surprised at how well the highlights hold up. I've thought there have been instances before where I look on the back of the screen and I think, oh wow, I for sure clipped my highlights there. But I bring it into Lightroom and there's more than enough information there. Resolution as well, 45 megapixels, I believe, in this camera. It has enough, it has plenty. It's enough to give me room for cropping, but it's not overwhelming in terms of like file sizes. I've used 100 megapixel medium format cameras in the past and 60 megapixels on the M11 and M11 monochrome. 45, that's plenty. Yeah, I love the raw files I get from the camera. Photography wise, again, no complaints. Video though. Let's talk about that. That's where I do have some things that I'm not crazy about, things that I still think could be improved upon. Again, this is going to be nitpicky stuff, minor details. It hasn't stopped me from using the camera. It hasn't prevented me from getting any work done. That's important to remember. Are there things that can be improved upon in this camera or any camera? Absolutely. Does it actually prevent you from doing your job or getting the shot you need? If not, maybe get over it. You know, it's minor things. The view assist, when you're filming with this camera and you're using N-Log, which, real quick, N-Log, beautiful. I've learned you definitely need to lean towards overexposing it in order to get the best results, but I have been very happy with N-Log. The problem when I'm using N-Log is when I use the view assist, basically giving me an image to go off of for focus and exposure, something to see my image not in a completely flat, washed out log image. The view assist is unusable. I'm going to be completely honest. I've just gone fully reliant on the histogram on the monitor as opposed to looking at the image and kind of judging by eye, which is what I've been able to do on other systems. On this camera, however, using the view assist, it doesn't give me anything realistic in terms of what my exposure is going to look like when I bring it into Final Cut. Again, I've learned to just work around it and I know how to expose for it, but compared to other cameras, I think that just the monitor itself, using that to view your image through video, that could be improved for sure. The in-body image stabilization, I will say, coming from the Lumix S5 II, which had incredible in-body image stabilization, this camera is good. I made the mistake of trying to use the active, what is it called? Electronic VR. That's the basically the digital stabilization where it's going to crop in slightly and try to, you know, stabilize it that way. I made the mistake of using that when I made a video with my friend Rich. If you haven't seen that video with Rich Joseph Facun on photographing Appalachia, check that one out. I filmed that video with the Z8 and I made the mistake of trying the electronic VR while I was walking around, and that definitely ruined multiple shots where it was just too shaky, it was unusable. That was on me. That was on me for not testing it out before that day. I just thought, well, we're walking in a pinch. No, I think that's really usable if you're holding still and you want to try and simulate like a tripod shot or a monopod shot where it's just as still as can be. But if you're moving the camera around, in my opinion, with the Z8 at least, turn the electronic VR off and hold your breath. It doesn't bother me, but for anybody who might be filming things very important, like a wedding or anything that's going to take place one time and you can't miss it, there is no dual recording. You have a CF Express Type B and an SD card slot here. You're not going to be able to record video to both cards simultaneously like you're able to shoot photos simultaneously to both cards. So not a deal breaker to me, doesn't bother me one bit, but just something to keep in mind if you're interested in using this camera for something like wedding and you need that redundant recording. You're not going to be able to do that with both cards. You would have to do it internally and then maybe also externally to a monitor. I haven't had any overheating with the camera. I should also mention that while we're talking video. I film all my videos in 4K, the 422 10-bit 4K. I haven't used NRAW. I don't have the needs for NRAW. Someone shooting much more serious video could do that, but This camera does shoot in RAW internally, but I haven't shot any, but no overheating with the camera so far in 4K. That's sort of like a common thing that happens with mirrorless cameras, at least on the market today. That tends to be something people look out for. I haven't run into any issues. 2 days ago, I had a shoot with a physician's office and we were shooting video all day. I had the hot card icon pop up on screen, basically letting me know the card inside the camera was getting hot. Didn't stop any recording, didn't cause any issues. It just gave me the notice, basically. So that also happened inside the paper mill in an area where it was extremely hot, like feeling like I was standing inside an oven. I had that icon pop up on me while I was using, and I kind of got worried for a second. That was the first time I'd ever seen that in the camera, but no issues at all. The camera didn't overheat or anything. I think that's just like a kind of just a little, caution, a little heads up for you, but haven't had any issues with it. Again, it's a workhorse. Everything I've thrown at this camera, it has handled it beautifully. And is there anything like remarkable about the camera in terms of what makes it feel different or look different? Or again, that whole, how does it make you feel when you're shooting? I feel like I don't think about my camera ever when I'm using this thing. And that's actually what I love the most about it. So I don't know. I've just found myself really surprised with the camera and just how much I found myself enjoying it. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. How do you feel when it comes to choosing a camera? Is it more about the feeling and the experience? Is it all just about the end result? I feel like my thoughts and feelings on all of that have evolved over time. This is just how I'm feeling right now. I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of that down below. I also want to take a minute to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting the work that I do. If you need to build a website, Squarespace is the #1 place to do it. They have everything you need all in one place. With templates to choose from and drag and drop customization, it's super easy to get started, and in no time you'll have your own website up and running that feels unique to you. I used Squarespace when I launched mattdayphoto.com, and that was over a decade ago. Back then I needed a place to show my wedding and portrait photography, a place for people to see my work and hire me. So now I use that same exact website to sell my photo books, prints, zines, being able to self-publish my own work through that same website. That's how flexible Squarespace is. No matter what kind of needs you have as a photographer, they have everything all in one place. And I highly encourage photographers, give their work a place to live outside of just an algorithm on social media. So try it out for yourself at squarespace.com for a free trial. But when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/mattday and use the code mattday at checkout. That'll save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. That'll do it for this video though. That's me yapping about the Nikon Z8 and the Z system overall. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts of your own, again, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments down below. But that's it for today. So thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.